Hello there, it's Toby Jones and welcome back to the channel. Today it is time for a concert review, some live music, the best form of music, and that was really shown last night by Kiefer Sutherland, who played at the O2 Ritz in Manchester on his So Full of Love tour, renamed from the Chasing the Rain tour, but more on that in a little while. This is quite an exciting video actually, because it's my first video on the channel with somebody else. Are you that side?
I'm that side, yes.
You're that side, okay. I'm pointing it the right way. This, for those of you who don't watch my other content, this is my long-time friend Joe, also known as Captain Goodspeed, among other names. We do a podcast together called Joe and Toby Talk, which, closing the name, as well as my passions for music, got big passion for sport and other areas such as James Bond and other things that you got me into, but that's a future podcast altogether. But today Joe has joined me not just to promote the podcast, but for the fact that Joe did join me last night at the concert, the Kiefer Sutherland concert in Manchester. Manchester isn't my local, so it was about a 90-minute drive for me to go up to Manchester to meet Joe, and then we went to the concert together. But without any further ado, I'll introduce the co-host for today's episode, which is quite exciting, isn't it, Joe? You've watched the channel in awe, haven't you, for a long time?
Yes, no, it's been a pleasure to watch and help out, I suppose, with the music channel over the years, and certainly coaxing you into making more content. So all the viewers at home have a little bit of me to thank, I suppose, of getting you to pull your finger out a little bit with it. But it was a pleasure last night to go and watch Kiefer Sutherland. I know we followed all three of his albums, I suppose, and we'll talk about that as we go on. But no, something very different for me to be involved in. So yeah, no, thanks for having me.
Yeah, it was great for you, I think, in particular. We'll talk about that more later on. But I mean, I'm not a seasoned concert goer in terms of once a month or whatever. But I think in terms of the two of us, I've been to a lot more concerts than yourself.
Yeah,
I think you said a little bit. You'd almost got the concert bug, hadn't you? After that.
Yeah, I think I've got very limited concert experience. I've only been really to the concerts of one artist, and that was Take That, and along with that Gary Barlow as well. But I absolutely loved it. It was a very different concert. It was in a very different venue. I'm used to the arena vibe, and I think we both tend to prefer seated concerts. So it was the standing experience that was very different. But it just made me think about going and seeing, because I like a lot more artists than just Take That. So go and experience them live if I can. The problem is most of the people I like are dead or dying. So.
I mean, that's something that most of the viewers can resonate with, definitely. So for those who obviously have heard of Kiefer Sutherland, because everybody has, maybe bar a couple of people, and that's madness. Obviously huge actor, but has recently turned his attentions to music. It's what I would describe as a kind of country rock music.
Yeah.
And I said last night, and you were quite puzzled, I still maintain it feels a little bit quite similar to Bryan Adams. Maybe not the music itself as such, but the mannerisms and the way he performs. I've been to see Bryan Adams a couple of times. It felt quite similar to that.
Okay.
But he's had 3 albums as Kiefer. Down in a Hole was the first one, only released in the US though under the Ironworks label in 2016. His second album, which I've reviewed on the channel, is his best in my opinion, Reckless of Me. That came out in 2019. And then the pattern continues because his latest album, Bloor Street, came out in 2022. However, that was on the Cooking Vinyl label rather than Ironworks, which I think was something that he was involved in managing or owning. But the last 2 albums have been released internationally, and in fairness, I know it's not a high bar, but Reckless of Me went to number 9 over here, and Bloor Street went to number 16, so not too bad at all. Brilliantly, to be quite honest, considering that we didn't think he was that big. We went, and of course, before we talk about that, obviously, we were meant to be there last October. Or was it the start?
Start of November, yeah.
So for those watching, it was quite a blessing because I went to see, wasn't planned really like this. I went to see the Australian Pink Floyd. This is me saying I don't go and watch concerts every week. The Australian Pink Floyd on the 23rd of October, Deep Purple on the 25th of October, Kiefer was the 5th of November or something like that, and then Anastasia was on the 9th of November. You did talk about me having quite a wide range of music last night. I think what I've just said in the last 30 seconds probably quantifies that a little bit. But not having that concert in the middle, in one way, was a blessing because it was quite a busy time. But Kiefer was ill with COVID. He did milk it a little last night, I think, saying it was one of the worst periods in his professional career that he couldn't sing for us. But I think he was milking that slightly. But nevertheless, he was humble, he was modest. I know you said that on the way back last night. He seemed like that. But before we talk about the concert itself, we've got to laugh at our own expense because we, for some reason, genuinely thought there weren't going to be many people there.
Yeah, I don't know if I thought that was going to happen. It was a concern of mine, I would say.
Yeah.
I hoped that it would be busy, and I hoped there would be people that enjoyed his music, and I don't know how many people were there just for the name.
Tricky to gauge, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, we'll talk about it. The type of people that were there later, but yeah, it was a concern for both of us, I think. But I suppose looking at his album sales, being number 9 in top 10 in the UK charts is quite a tough feat. So I guess we should have expected it, really. So it's clearly got fans.
Not for a top line artist, anyway. Yeah, so that's not bad at all, like you say. So we got from Manchester Piccadilly about a 10-minute walk down the road, and opposite that is, I don't know what the theatre's called. That was showing Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, and as we turned around the corner, I joked and said, "Oh, I wouldn't like to be in that queue." Crossed the road, and there was the queue for Kiefer Sutherland. It was unbelievable, wasn't it, the queue?
Well, it was round the corner. Yeah, that's an old expression. The queue was round the block, and it certainly was. And there were times we were like, "Are we in the right queue?" But there was plenty of people with Kiefer Sutherland shirts to show that we were very much in the right place. And yeah, it was a bit of a surprise. To be honest, I can't remember many concerts I've been to that you've had to queue for, really. But I suppose that again comes with the arena experience. It's a much bigger place to get into, so I suppose you don't have queues down the street for that. But it was very interesting.
Well, the reason for that was, and I think it was quite a good ploy in the end, actually. It's slightly annoying on the night, but looking back, understandable. So the doors opened at 7, but there weren't any details about what time Kiefer was on, whether there was any support acts. But that was quite a good move because it got everybody in at 7, and because it was all standing apart from maybe 100 seats in a balcony on the floor above, it was all standing, so it was first come, first serve. And Kiefer didn't start till 9 p.m. There was 2, I keep saying tribute bands, I don't know why, support groups that were on before Kiefer, and I have completely lost what their names are. I think, was it Fine Lines, the one that was on second?
Yeah,
that sounds about right.
Fine Lines, yeah, they were really good.
Yeah, they were.
They had a violinist in their group, which was a bit funky. They had a male and a female lead singer. So it was sort of joint vocal responsibilities. It was just very different. You don't see many bands like that around in that style. So that was something nice. I think the other artist was an American songwriter, wasn't it?
Sari Schorr. I've just got it up. Yeah, Sari Schorr.
Sari Schorr.
That was a duo, but a female singer.
But I think Sari Schorr is the lead singer, and she is. Yeah. I think she is a person. The name. So, but they were a kind of duet. But yeah, it was good. It was different than what we were expecting. I think I did actually have a look into it afterwards to see if we'd missed that anywhere. And on the O2 Ritz website, it did actually have them listed down. But in all of the information we got about the Kiefer Sutherland, so on Ticketmaster, on emails, and on his actual tour stuff. It didn't have anything about that. So, but if you went into the O2 Ritz website, it did have those listed. So just for people that are interested, if they're going to see Kiefer Sutherland and want to check that out.
Yeah, that's a good point you make, actually, the final point there. I always say with these concert reviews, if you are going to see one of these shows, I know it's YouTube suicide, but don't watch this, because I think it's... To go and watch I mean, do what you want. But to go and watch a concert and have it ruined beforehand would be a shame. The set list and all the rest of it. So,
but some people like that. Some people prefer going into it knowing exactly what they're getting into, and that's absolutely fine as well.
Yeah. So we got into the venue around 7:15, and as we said, quite lucky because we were fairly near the front. Our vantage point was great. There was a small merchandise stand that Joe did indulge in, so I'll let him carry on.
Yeah, I am one for a bit of merchandise. I like a mug, actually. They didn't have any mugs, but I did Well, you couldn't take a bag in, so you couldn't carry a mug. You couldn't put that one in your pocket. No, I couldn't buy, but I did buy one of the Kiefer Sutherland tops, and made sure I got the one with the tour that we were going to see on the back, because there was a variety of different T-shirts. It seemed like they had multiple different tours on there as well. But I got the So Full of Love tour with all the dates on the back that are relevant to what we went to see. So yeah, that was good. That was £25, and it came with a free gift, which was Reckless and Me 4-track limited edition. Trying to show that on screen now, but whether it focuses or not, I think you can see that. And it's got 4 tracks on there: Open Road, which is one of my favourites, Faded Pair of Blue Jeans, Reckless and Me, and This Is How It's Done. Actually, all 4 of them are some of my favourites of Kiefer's work. And it does say on the back, if you have this CD, you probably got it at a show. Thank you for your continued support. I hope you enjoy it. All my best from Kiefer. So there you go. But there was all sorts of stuff available. You could get signed prints. I think the signed prints were about 25 quid as well. And you could also buy his 2 most recent CDs. Annoyingly, I know we were both hoping to try and get Down in a Hole, but that's a US exclusive, isn't it?
Yeah, unfortunately, that is annoying. For the completionist in me. The only thing I will say, because I bought this from a charity shop, ironically, the one that was there, it was £10. I'd got a Live in Berlin disc, and I was half tempted, and I thought, nah, I'll just stick with what I've got. It's not worth £10 just for a live disc. As I said to you last night, I've got 9 AC/DC T-shirts, so I don't think any more T-shirts would fit into the wardrobe, to be quite honest. So I'm satisfied with what we got. So it came to 9 o'clock when the show started. It was a Bloor Street centric set list, being his most recent album. This was originally the tour for the album, the Chasing the Rain tour, renamed now as So Full of Love, but in name only, really, because it's a very similar set list. Obviously, with Kiefer only having 3 albums, there's only limited material he can play. I'm looking at the set list from a couple of nights before, but I don't think it changed massively. There was 7 tracks from Bloor Street, which is the most recent album, 4 tracks from Reckless and Me, and 3 tracks from Down in the Hole, and then a couple of covers and other stuff there. So,
yeah, just on the back of that, I know, talking about the set list, he did actually change one of the songs out. I think it was Down the Line came in for, is it Blame It On Your Heart? I think that was, I don't remember that.
That one was definitely on there. I remember that, but I think there might have been one that went out. But I was trying to count what track it was, how many, because I knew from what you said there was about 17 tracks, and by the time I got to about track 6, I was out. So
yeah, funny enough, I was doing the same. Yeah,
I just lost all points of how many was left, but I think the set list was mostly the same. So there was a good range of stuff from the albums, kind of Bloor Street to start with, really. The Can't Stay Away from Down in a Hole was the second track from my 3 tracks, and then more Bloor Street centric, and a couple of tracks from the album, Something You Love, which is my favourite track overall of Kiefer's, and then the title track from that album. But it was nice and mixed, and he played for 90 minutes non-stop, didn't he? It was good value, really, for that. It was good value.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, we paid, I think we said about £37 or something for it, and, you know, we got 3 decent sets. You know, the 2 support acts probably played for about an hour cumulatively, and then an hour and a half of Kiefer. And he gave a sort of story behind each of his songs before he got into it. And as you say, I think it was a nice mix, actually. He didn't just focus on one album for a prolonged period of time. It would be one from his older albums and then a couple from his newer one, and it sort of alternated like that. And I think that was quite nice, actually, because I know certainly concerts I've seen in the past, they might have a section of it that is a particular era of that music, which with Kiefer only having 3 albums, I guess that helps. But I just thought it was a really upbeat and positive concert, I suppose, and, you know, everybody seemed to enjoy themselves.
Yeah, like you say, it was definitely upbeat. I was going to say something then, but it's gone. No, it hasn't. As you say, with the fact he's only got 3 albums, I have been to concerts before where you get 5 or 6 tracks in and they start playing the new stuff, and that's the cue for everybody to go to the bar. There wasn't that with this. It was just continual. Although, like I say, there's a couple of tracks from Bloor Street I'm not that keen on. It was just relentless. It was great throughout, and obviously you get the tracks you like more than others, and that's like any concert, isn't it? Really, that takes place. But it was brilliant. It very much got exciting at the end, because there was a couple of the kind of ballady tracks, So Full of Love and I think Set Me Free, and then we turned up the pace with This Is How It's Done, and then Down in a Hole that. Actually, I'd never heard that title track before, and that was heavy as anything, wasn't it? The drum solo at the end and the guitars crescendoing. I was in my element because it was heavy as anything. But the trouble is, those of you who know me, I'm quite prone to headaches. So, although it was beautiful to hear, I could also hear the head pounding at the same time while that was going on. But that's become a new favourite already, that track. I listened to that this morning. That was awesome. And in fact, I think all of the tracks probably would. I mean, that's the trouble when you go and see somebody live. If you film it and show it to somebody else, it's never as good as it was in person. And that's the value of the live concert. But Down in a Hole, that was an absolutely awesome track. And then they went off. You said after they went off, they do this at every concert. They're going to come back on, obviously. And then did a couple of tracks. One called Friday Night, which isn't on any album. That's just a generic track. Yeah. I quite like that. That was quite funky. And then ended with Agave from Reckless of Me, which again isn't one of my favourite tracks of his, but it was a good one to end on, good upbeat one to end on. And I think overall we both come out very, very pleased. Albeit we did come out and off the step the other side, and my knees are nearly jarred because we stood for the best part of 4 hours in that arena. Because with a standing concert, the only trouble is you make your place and you stay there. In my opinion, you know, because we seemed to get further forward, didn't we, during the night to close to the stage because people were going for a drink or whatever. But I think after you'd had your expensive pint of ice, I think you were deterred from that, weren't you?
Yeah. Well, certainly once a concert starts, unless there's an interval, I would never move anyway. I always get a drink beforehand, and that's it, because I don't want to miss anything, to be honest. That's a big one for me. I have big. What do they call it, Toby? On the kids on this channel, FOMO, is it? Fear of missing out.
The kids on this channel.
The kids on this channel. Yeah, but honestly, it was a highly recommended concert from me, at least. I know we'll get into ratings in a bit, but it was so much better than I ever expected, and that's not me saying I thought it was going to be terrible. I thought it was going to be a great night, and we both went into it saying this is going to be great, but it surpassed all expectations, really. And I think the live music, you know, he proper went for it. You could tell he'd went for it. I think he looked very tired by the end. he didn't sound tired, but he looked tired, and
Yeah.
you know, in his movements, some of his jumps and whatever were a little bit more jaded by the last song. But that's a testament to how much he gave. And considering he's on every night for July, pretty much, I think that's really, really good to see.
Yeah. I was genuinely more pleased for yourself, because not to patronise, because you're not a concert virgin as such, but somebody who's not so well versed in it, to go and see that and think I'd like to go and see more in the future. That's a win. That's a win if one person could go to a concert and think I'd like to go and see more. And I think if he goes on tour again for the same price, even if it's £50, I think I'd happily go and support every time he goes on tour, because it was a great night, and particularly because there were 3 groups on, £40. There's not much better value than that, I don't think. So I guess that brings us on to the rating section. That I've kind of given mine that it was excellent. So if you are a country / rock / good time fan, go and see this show, because it was excellent. It was really enjoyable. And if you are thinking about going to see it, go and make that plunge, because I think it will give a whole new appreciation for Kiefer's music. Not that he's just a studio artist, but he's a real raw live artist. That's my opinion. I'll leave the last word to my co-host, who I thank very much for joining me today. So I know you really enjoyed it, but any more thoughts?
No, I mean, you've summed it up perfectly, really. I think it was just a really good night. It was a positive night, and gave me another whole wave of appreciation for his music. And, you know, coming from a completely different background in acting, to take that plunge, take that risk, I suppose, because he could have been laughed off. You know, there's been plenty of actors that have just become bargain bin material in the UK, at least. You know, I'm thinking Bradley Walsh and Chris Kamara. You know, all those that take a plunge in music. Kiefer's done that, but he's written his own stuff. He's not just pumping out covers. He's a proper artist, and I'm glad that he's, I think, breaking away from just that stereotype of being an actor that's turned into to music as a way of making money. He's done 3 quality albums, and hopefully he'll be back for more. Yep,
super. Couldn't say any better. Well, we're going to call it a day on today's video. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you again to, you are that side, aren't you?
Yes.
Thank you to my co-host. It's been really nice to do a video with somebody else, first time on the channel. If you have enjoyed more so not listening to me more, I don't know if that's a compliment or not, but leave it down in the comments if so. Thank you for your company. Leave a like if you did enjoy, and as I say, comment below. Subscribe for weekly album reviews, top 10s and all the rest of it, and we might even get this guy back at some point. Who knows? Thank you for your company today, from me and from Joe. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye for now.